Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. This is part 2 of my great conversation with my wonderful friend, Judy Thomas, a Columbus girl that went from Columbus to the West Coast for 30 years, lived in some of the best cities, San Diego, Sonoma country, where's wine country, yeah. San Francisco, and then back to the CSG, Columbus, Georgia, yeah. 30 years later, yeah. So coast to coast. And so with that, you brought some wonderful skills and worked with our beloved Mayor Jim Wetherington, who is our mutual friend. He's just a wonderful person. And so working in the mayor's office prepared you. You could see the city and what was supposed to happen on a daily basis. And then you decided to run for city council. Yeah. And you are our city council woman at large. Yeah. All right, blaze that trail for a Columbus girl. You know, people move in and out of Columbus. You know, we have Fort Benning and other companies, and people come and go. But a lot of times the new people don't really know the history. Right. And that's what this visit was about. I wanted people to understand the history. So Muskogee County School District, whenever David Lewis want to brag, he could use you because you went from elementary, junior high, through Sheridan High School, went off to college, a Georgia college, not what your brother said, not over at Milledgeville, not at the mental place, but at the college, and then teaching career, and then an advocate for teachers and educators, Georgia and in California. Came back, worked for our beloved Mayor Jim Wetherington, worked daily by his side, saw how the government ran. You ran for office and you won, and you have been there serving the people.
Well, Gloria, Mayor Wetherington had said when he was elected that he was only going to serve one term. Mm-hmm. That was the plan.
That was the plan.
And so toward the end of his term, he and some of the friends that I had made because I had worked in the mayor's office encouraged me to run and to run for city council. And so I did. And one of the things I tell people is that I worked in the mayor's office for 4 years, and so I thought I knew how the city, what was going on in the city and how it ran and all those other kind of things. And then I went on council, and it's like driving to Atlanta. If you're the driver, you see things in one way.
Exactly.
If you're the passenger, you see them in a different way. Right. Same car, same road, all that kind of stuff, but just a little different viewpoint.
Exactly.
And I have tried to keep that in mind as I have been on city council, that not everybody sees it the same way you do, even though we're going on the same
road. Right. It's the perspective. Yes. Because if you're the driver, you don't have time to do the sightseeing.
Right.
But if you're in the passenger seat, you can sightsee.
Yeah, and I can tell you how far it is to Saddle White's barbecue, you know, and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but you found that still helpful to be in the mayor's office to really understand the broader. Yeah. And then once you became city council at large, and you were first elected, what year was that?
I was elected in 2010 and took office in January of 2011.
All right, 2011. So after Mayor Wetherington's term ended, then you ran and then you took a seat at that time, at large. Yeah. So at large means, for the people that might not know, you know, we use terminology all the time. So for John Q. Public, at large means what?
At large is the entire county. Okay. We have 10 people on council. 8 of them are district. So you have a smaller area that you represent. Right. But there are 2 at-large districts. And I am the counselor for one of them, and John House is the counselor for the other. And so we represent everybody in the county. You have 2 representatives. You have your district rep, and you have your, well, actually 3. Right. Your district rep and your 2 at-large.
So I have Charmaine Crabb. I'm in District 5. She's my council person for District 5.
Right.
But if I need some help, which I have in the past, and my beloved father would say, call Judy, because he knew Judy was going to take care of it, then I have District 9 and District 10,
Yeah.
which are
Yes.
both at large.
Yes.
And so I can call and say, we need help with this, that, and the other. And of course, my daddy lived where there's a little creek, and that was part of what the city was supposed to take care of or whatever. And usually they would use, not just people from Public Works, but sometimes from corrections to help with that. And so if he thought they was getting behind, he would say, call Judy. And you always took care of it, and they would show up. And that's what your at-large people are. They're supposed to look into things. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen right that day, but that means that you're the person to call to do the research.
Well, and a lot of times when people call me, I will tell them, now, I don't know the answer to that, but let me see what I can find out, and I'll get somebody to call you. It may not be today that they call you. It may take me a little bit to get to the person, but if you don't hear from somebody in the next day or so, let me know, and we'll follow up on it. And that's one of the things that I think is so important, is that I don't have to have all of the answers.
No, you don't.
If I know that this person can answer this kind of question, and this person can answer that kind of question, and that person can say, no, I'm not the one, it's this other person.
Exactly. They can direct.
Yeah.
So no, you can point people in the right direction or connect them with whoever that is, but at least be willing to do it, being responsive, taking a call. I've never called you where you didn't take my call or call me right back.
You're on my speed dial.
Well, no, but really, people have to know that.
Yeah.
And I think we assume that everyone knows that they have a district person, and then they have the at-large. And we live in that world, but a lot of people don't. They live in a totally different world. So I just wanted to make sure that we shared that. So I know, coming from Dad hitchhiking from North Florida, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that, because, there's a lot of swamps, and, if you know the geography, because, I worked with the Census Bureau, that's a tough thing for back then, when we didn't have these fancy roads and everything, and then making his way here and marrying your mom, and they were public service people. So you kind of was already positioned, trained up, when you were doing your little speeches over at the fire department, when they was having the auxiliary meeting. They were preparing you. I always like to tell people, everything that you're doing is preparing you, for the big destination, for where you're going. And so your dad in his service, your mom in her service, and so you as a teacher, thankless job, you'll never get rich doing that, and then you advocating. So what we're going to do before we go to the next part of this conversation, we're going to go to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. The Columbus Memory Center, 7196 North Lake Drive, Suite A, Columbus. Dr. Jonathan Liss is a board-certified neurologist and sleep specialist committed to battling Alzheimer's by preserving independence, offering you the opportunity to get your memory number for free, the only vital sign for brain health. Call today at 706-327-4000 or visit columbusmemorycenter.com. The Miley Agency, 4903 Armour Road. Gerald L. Miley and William Rip Singer have been providing comprehensive reviews and insuring families in Georgia and Alabama for more than 50 years. The Miley Agency will work non-stop to find you the best policy at the best price. You can rest assured that your information is secure, confidential, and protected. Call today at 706-996-2045.
And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm enjoying this wonderful visit with my friend Judy Thomas, a Columbus girl, and that's just how we do it. So, Dad married Mom, and you were prepared for this journey that you're at now with as our City Councilwoman at large, blazing that trail. Downtown used to be what we knew. We talked about in the sidebar the stores that used to be there. Kaiser Lilienthal, Matthews, Chancellor, Saul and Harry, Crafton's.
My first job was in the gift wrap department at Curb.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I started the day after Thanksgiving in the gift wrap department.
I'm sure you made big money.
Right.
I'm sure you did. And of course, we had Davidson's and all that. That was long before there was ever a Columbus Square.
Right.
Long before there was ever a Peachtree Mall.
Right.
Long before there was ever Columbus Park Crossing. Long before any of that. So being a Columbus girl, going from all of those schools, Columbus Junior High, all of those schools to Jordan, going off to college, coming back, living in another place, West Coast, which was very progressive, serving on council now. Where do you want to see your hometown? Because this is your hometown. Your roots are deep. You know, Daddy served 35 years. Mom worked in the medical field. Family legacy going through Jordan High School. You know, where do you want to see the city?
Well, I'd like to see Columbus be your destination. If you're looking for some fun things to do, Columbus has them.
Okay.
If you're looking for a place to build a new plant, let's do it in Columbus.
Okay.
If you're looking for whatever, I want Columbus to be right up there in the top of your list of places to check out. And we can do what needs to be done to make all of this happen and to make it all come together. You know, Gloria, I remember as a teenager, as you said, downtown Columbus was where you went to shop.
Right.
And then when those stores moved out to the shopping centers, downtown Columbus sort of took a dive.
It did.
And there were not
a lot of the buildings were abandoned.
Yes.
Because we had
people
we had Columbus Square Mall and Cross Country Plaza.
Yeah.
Right.
And people didn't go downtown. And that has now changed.
Yes.
We now have a downtown district where some of the best restaurants in the country are located.
Yes.
And some of the kinds of things that you can do.
Good entertainment.
Yes, and I'm really pleased with that, and I want us to improve on that.
And just grow that.
Yes.
Right, and I know that, and believe it or not, when we travel to Florida, Pensacola, we always stop at this ice cream place on the border.
Yeah.
We were in there, and we came in, and that's always our stop, and the owner was telling the young lady who was working in there that where we were from. And the first thing she said was, "Oh, I know where that is, because I went there for a whitewater rafting competition." It blew me away, because this was like a little very small, out of the way. It wasn't a big city. It was a very small rural kind of town, but wonderful ice cream. So it's like, okay, let's take a little pressure off the body, you know, stop, use the bathroom, get an ice cream. And that was her thing. And she was like, "Well, I can't wait to come back." And I said, "We can't wait. We need your money.
Yeah,
help us. We need that revenue." Yeah, so that's another thing. That's a destination.
Yes, and we are becoming world-class places to be. I remember when they built the whitewater rafting, and at that time, Mayor Weatherington and I went down, and the guy who was in charge of the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta told us that if that whitewater rafting course had been there during that 96 Olympics, the whitewater rafting competition would have been in Columbus.
Really?
That it was that world class at that point. And of course, we've had lots of those kinds of things happen. Columbus as a tourist attraction, I mean, you know, what do you want to do? We can do that. You want to go to the National Infantry Museum,
which is state of the art, and it's well visited.
It's
and we're graduating soldiers every week, so people come here from all over the world, and we see them in the malls and in the restaurants. But we want those other companies and people to come. So
you know, one of the things that I wanted to share with you about that, the way people in Columbus react. I was in a restaurant a couple of years ago. And there was a soldier who looked like he just graduated from basic training with his mom and dad.
Right.
And I told the waitress, I called her over and I said, "I want to pay their ticket. She said, you'll have to get in line. There are 5 people in front of you.
Wow, isn't that wonderful?
And that's what people do in Columbus.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
We take care of those soldiers.
And when I see them in the malls, and when they have family day, and you'll see them in the mall with their parents, and you can tell they fresh new soldiers, as my husband would say, newly minted, you know. And I always say, you look good in that uniform. And the mother always stands up straight with her shoulders, and I'm like, and for the ones, sometimes their parents can't come to be with them. They're from long, faraway places, and I'll say, tell your mother you look good in that uniform, and then they will just smile. But Fort Benning is a very, very big part, and I always brag when I'm in meetings and they say, tell us something about yourself. And I'll say, well, I am from Columbus, and we have Fort Benning, and we train Colin Powell, and so I just knock them out with that. And they're like, what? So it's like, yeah, so we have a lot of good things that we can share.
Yeah, and as you know, they're going to change the name of Fort Benning,
but
they're not going to change the mission.
No.
We'll still have those kids.
The graduations, and we're still going to be infantry and the armor and all of that, and we're going to be still one of the premier bases and everything. And I always tell people, I guess I did right. I married Holly at the Protestant Chapel on Fort Benning. I had my child at Martin Army. I don't know if that was so good or not. They didn't pamper you back then. They pampered them now. I don't even think they do babies there. And then our first home together, we lived in quarters on Fort Benning. And that's just something unto itself, to just have had that type of experience. And then we have people from all over the world. They live behind the gate, but they live out in the city. And so they bring other cultural experiences to us.
And we're going to continue to have that, even though the name of the
base is going to change to Fort Moore. And they say he and his wife were wonderful leaders and really made a difference in the soldiers' lives. What we're going to do is go to a break to our sponsor, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors.
Carter Counseling Services in the White House at the Elms, 1846 Buena Vista Road, providing services to enhance the quality of life for clients by promoting healthy, stable interactions within relationships, counseling support to assist individuals in positive personal growth. Call Mr. Carter today at 706-570-8698. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. Roz Cafe and Catering Services. Choose Roz as your personal chef, knowing every dish is prepared with attention to the finest details and extra care. She will make your next event one to remember, with 2 convenient locations to serve you: 390 Batzel Avenue, Fort Benning, and 3418 Buena Vista Road. Visit rozcafe.com.
Welcome back to Straightforward. I am continuing this wonderful conversation with my friend, a Columbus girl, Judy Thomas. I tell you, Judy, what is it that you want for Columbus? You want us to be a destination city. I know you're very proud of home. Your dad, your mom, they sold so much into this community. You have worked hard for the community. Right along with Mayor Wetherington, who was just a wonderful leader, now on council. I know that a lot of the citizens are not news junkies like me, where I'm going to watch every meeting. But if you would just share with our audience how they can see the meetings, when the meetings are, what resources. I know we partnered with the VA, with the new clinic, to make sure veterans could get the bus out to the new VA clinic. Share that with the audience.
Well, I think one of the things is that council, we have regular meetings.
Okay.
That we meet the 2nd Tuesday of every month and the 4th Tuesday of every month. And then if there's a 5th Tuesday, we meet on that day also.
Okay.
At each one of those meetings, we have a public agenda.
Okay.
If you want to come and address the council, you can do that. You need to call the clerk of council by Friday noon before the Tuesday meeting.
Okay, if you want to be on the public agenda,
Yes.
you have to call the
Yes.
clerk of council, who is Sandra Davis'
Right.
office, and you have to do it before noon
on
the Friday prior to the meeting.
Right.
So that's the protocol.
Because it has to get on the agenda. It has to be on the
Official agenda.
that is published out there.
Okay.
And that meeting, those meetings are televised,
Okay.
live, and then they are replayed
Mhm.
throughout the day, throughout the week, or between the meetings.
Right.
You know, so
So I can, because usually I watch. So then if I don't see it everything on Tuesday, I turn it on Wednesday morning, and I'm gonna watch them say the pledge and everything all over again and pick up where I left off.
yeah.
So then people still have a chance all through the weekend to still see what was talked about.
Yes.
And as things come up, then that people can't feel like they never heard it.
Yeah.
So they can just take the time and do that. So, okay, you're gonna meet every second Tuesday and every 4th Tuesday of every month.
Yes.
If they want to be on the agenda, they must call Sandra Davis's office before noon on Friday prior to the Tuesday meeting, because that has to be published as a part of the official agenda.
Right.
Okay, so we got that part now, because I believe in giving people, we want to inform and educate so people can know what they need to do. Okay, in terms of resources, you said to me in another sidebar conversation we had, I want us to have resources, but I want people to have access to the resources that we have.
Yes.
And even if I don't know the answer, I'll try to find out where to send them to get the answer.
I think one of the things too that people may not realize is that there are 10 counselors on there, and we all have different experiences and so forth. And I may not know your issue.
Right.
I may have never heard that before.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not a veteran. I don't need a ride to the VA hospital.
Right.
But if you do, I need to know that.
Exactly.
And so you need to communicate with your counselor and with the counselors at large. Ask the question. Give us your input. We don't, contrary to popular belief, we don't have the answer to everything.
Well, no, and you don't have to have, even a doctor don't have the answer to everything. You sometimes have to refer to the book.
But
Whatever.
you need to let us know what's going on and how
Exactly.
we can help.
At least give you the opportunity to
Yes.
address it. So if they never bring it to you, then you never knew about it. You can't help them to work it out.
And don't complain about it, you know, to the other people behind the scenes. If you hadn't said to us,
Give you the chance to
give
address
us
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was the thing with the veterans. They were saying when they decided not to put the new VA clinic, the Portishead VA clinic in Midtown Columbus, and it went further north, how would the veterans get there? Well, then I heard it directly from Director Farugi of the VA for Central Alabama, which includes Columbus, Georgia, and Fort Benning. And they had partnered with Columbus Consolidated Government. They told me this because I interviewed him, where veterans could call ahead and make an appointment so that they can get on the bus and get up to the new VA clinic.
That was the same thing when we moved the health department to Veterans Parkway. We wanted to make sure that the bus line ran there and it ran regularly, so that if you had to go to the health department, you could do that.
Right. So when they left Comer Avenue and went over to the Old Virginia College building on veterans, because that might sound small, but if you're a person that don't own a car, you got to figure out how you're going to maneuver. So you all wanted to make sure that the buses were running often enough and in the right places to get people that rely on the bus to those facilities.
And I sometimes joke and tease and say, well, if you want something done, call the Mayor Pro Tem. Councilor Allen can take care of it. But I really do think that we need to be sure that you talk to your counselor
First.
and make sure that they know what the issue is. And there are all sorts of issues that we have to deal with.
Right.
I tell people sometimes the first item on the agenda is what are we going to do about this $200 million government center and how are we going to work it? And then the next thing on the agenda is I have 4 chickens and you don't like chickens, and so how are we going to deal with my chickens that you don't like?
Right.
And to us, the chickens are just as important as the $200 million government center.
Exactly.
But we need to know that, and we need to take care of those kinds of things. And I think for the most part, your council does that. Your council listens, and if you don't tell us, we don't know.
And they can always go to the city website.
Yeah.
And the counselors are listed. Your pictures are there. Your email addresses are there. Your phone numbers are there. And all they have to do, and I love my state senator, Ed Harbison, he said, look, if you call me, I might be in a meeting, but give me the opportunity. At least give me 24 hours to call you back. And those are the things that I wanted to make sure that we shared in this visit. I thank you so much for taking the time.
I just want to say one more.
Go ahead.
ColumbusGA.org is the website.
ColumbusGA.org is the website. And you can pull it up on any of your devices, on your phone, on your desktop, your iPad, any of that. And if that don't work, you can always call.
Yeah.
You can always call. Somebody's always going to answer. But I just thank you so much for taking this time. And I just want always to try to educate and inform the community. This is my community. I'm very proud that you are a Columbus girl, and Dad was on the fire department, and he was a member, as you would say. And Mom and her service, and your family, and your legacy at the Jordan High School. I have friends who went to Jordan High School. But I thank you so much for your friendship. I thank you for all that you do quietly in the community. I know you do a lot for students because I've been a part of that. And I know one school where you are definitely a rock star. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.